let us hereby try to understand the concept of a return on investment. WALS. This is a confusing concept for many people who have not yet understood it. Once the student of life comes across and understands and internalizes this particular concept well for the first time, then definitely their own life is very well enhanced after understanding this particular concept. So what is this concept about? Well, essentially speaking, whenever we are making efforts to acquire resources in order to live life, when we are making efforts to acquire resources so that we can live a happy life, we hit several walls along the way. Like for instance, a professional athlete may hit the wall wherein he is no longer able to perform to his own peak potential. Similarly, a chess player may hit a wall wherein in the initial days of learning chess, he went from Elo rating 0 till Elo rating 2600 in the first 10 years. This is the first 10 years of his career. But later, he practiced for 10 more years, but from 2600, he barely could reach, let's say, 2610 in the next 10 years, let's say. So this particular chess player also seems to have hit a wall. So this is what I mean when I say the wall of return on investment. Whenever we embark upon any endeavor and start making efforts, those efforts start compounding and giving us returns and then more returns and then more returns, which makes us feel happy. Because dopamine is being released in our brain and we feel that the efforts that we are making are leading to a particular result or success basically. Now, after a while, it may so happen that we are no longer able to progress. So this is the wall that we hit in our particular area. When it relates to investing in various different sectors of the economy or in various different companies, what that means is company A may give good returns on investment during its peak time in the market. Company B may come and overtake company A because some technology changes, some innovation happens. Company C may come in and then overtake company B because of further either random events or technology changes or the geopolitical environment changes, so on and so forth. Randomness and black swan events also have a lot to do with this nature of reality. Let us all understand that nature of reality is quantum mechanical. And hence reality is probabilistic. And outcomes of experiments or efforts can also be probabilistic in nature because the universe that we live in is actually quantum mechanical in nature. Now, given that this is true, the highest return on investment theoretically will be achieved when an investor puts their money in company A when it is ascending takes out the money from company A and puts it in company B when company A is descending and company B is ascending, and then when company B is descending, the investor has taken out the money from company B and poured it into company C. So investment, as passive as it might sound to be, involves actively scanning the geopolitical scenarios of the world, having a mental model of how the world works, and figuring out which companies are going to earn at what points in time, which sectors of the economy are booming, which sectors of the economy are going down at what points in time. If you are an individual entrepreneur, or if one is an individual entrepreneur, then in that case all your eggs are literally in one basket. This is like one basket and all your eggs are in it. So if the sector of the economy to which your company belongs is going to go down, then in that case you have lost a huge chunk of your net worth, because all your eggs were in one basket itself. The highest return on investment will be obtained if somebody switches from a declining economic situation in one particular industry, sector of economy, or one particular company, and moves their net worth either in cash. So it's completely okay to hold cash temporarily from an investment perspective, as opposed to the popular wisdom during the time of making this video, this being 2021. So one can even hold cash till the time they find better avenues to invest in. If somebody invests the cash in opportunities that will give less return on investment, then a person has to contend with the opportunity cost of the decision. Let us draw a graph. Mathematics and data make things very clear. So here I'm going to draw returns on the y-axis, and on the x-axis I am going to draw investment. Investment of what? Investment of time, energy, money, capital, resources, health, etc. So here, as we can see, if initially we invest, then the returns are also proportionate or high. Later, the returns flatline. As we invest more and more, the returns are flatline, and later the returns stop increasing even if we are increasing the investment. This may happen with a pro physique bodybuilder, wherein they are gaining muscle mass, but because of age, the natural biology, the natural entropy, the natural time, the returns with time will decline. So in some biological systems and human systems, this will be flatlining. In some other systems, like for example a normal company investment, if the company just goes on, or let's say the index fund investment, generally speaking, returns will be there. At some times they will be high, at some times they will be low, but they will not be as much as they were at one point in time. So this is the graph of returns versus investment. Now, since it's moving upwards somewhat, this might be little confusing compared to the next graph that I am going to draw. The next graph is going to be the graph of returns per unit investment. Investment of what? Investment of time, energy, money, resources, capital, etc. So here, as we can see, here the returns per unit investment are higher, and then later the returns per unit investment are going to be lower. Initially the returns per unit investment are high. Actually this graph should be somewhat like this. Initially the returns per unit investments are going to be higher, and later they are going to be lower. So this is the shape or type of the graphs. All these different graphs are a possibility. With zero investment, zero returns, that is also possibility. With some investment, some return, all these graphs are a possibility. The point being, there comes a certain particular investment level. Investment of what? We ask again, time, energy, money, resources, capital, etc. There comes a certain point wherein we get the maximum return on investment, and this is the ROI wall concept acting over here actively. Meaning, putting in more amount of investment is not going to maximize the return on investment. So what should be done in this particular case? What should be done? Question mark. What should be done? So the answer is, you can either preserve your cash or your time and use that time to live life. Okay. So what do we mean by live life? We can spend time with family, for instance. We can travel if money is not a concern. So you get time for life, essentially speaking. Beyond a certain limit, the concept of return on investment declines, essentially speaking. Alright. So here the individual has to make a decision to go on to another graph. The individual may go on to another graph and invest their time and energy over there and try to hit the return on investment wall at that place, on that particular graph. So this is going to be better for that particular individual. Returns versus investments, and the green that we are drawing is return per unit investment. So practically speaking, what does it mean? I'll give a very practical example. Let us say an entrepreneur starts company A. Then in that case, the entrepreneur hits a wall and maximizes their return per investment. Alright. Then in that particular case, the entrepreneur can either try to maximize the return per unit energy time invested, and if they say that this is not working out, then they can move on to a new company. They can start a new company and they can be what we call as a serial entrepreneur, because their returns per unit investments are going to be higher potentially in another company or another venture compared to company A or venture A. And that's the reason why they have shifted the ventures. In terms of investments, what we can see is that, let us say if we are invested in the stock market, then in that case, let's say our returns on investment in a particular stock X have reached a local maxima at that particular time. Then in that case, if we invest more, then returns per unit investment are going to go down. So essentially speaking, what we mean is, let's say if we invested first 100 currency units in the company X, and this company X gave us 20% return initially, let's say, then for the next 100 units that we have invested over here, let's say X started giving only 15 as the return, then let's say for the next 100 units X gave only 10 as the return. Alright, so the maximum amount of return per unit investments was higher earlier. So once the maximum amount of return per unit investment starts declining, then in that case the investor or the liver of life, the human being, has a choice whether to stay in that particular sector or industry or field, or as an investor whether to invest in that particular company or to exit from that particular company and go and invest our time, energy, efforts into other companies and other ventures, and invest only the first 100 currency units in X, which is giving 20% return on investment, and the next 100 units we will either keep with ourselves or invest elsewhere. Similarly, the next 100 units also will either keep with ourselves or invest elsewhere. So this is the decision that needs to be taken. The most important concept over here is the concept of a return on investment walls, ROI walls. Every small entrepreneur or big entrepreneur, every small company or big company is going to face this concept for sure, the concept of ROI walls. Let's take an example of, let's say, YouTube channels. Alright, now let's understand that in this attention economy there are people, these are the people of the world, and they have certain amount of attention to give on a daily basis or on a monthly basis, etc. So these people of the world are throwing attention at YouTube. So let us say this is YouTube, and the people of the world are throwing attention at YouTube. So these are the videos, so on and so forth. Alright, now the content creators who are actually creating all these videos, the content creators are in competition with each other for the attention of the world, and these content creators are going to strong arm and elbow each other and bottleneck each other, because the same amount of attention that every day the people of the world are expounding, the same amount of attention will be distributed across content creators. Currently this sector seems to be booming, so more and more content creators will join, and hence more and more YouTube channels will be seemingly booming, and this will reach a saturation point when the number of YouTube content creators are so large that none of them are getting enough return on the investment of the time, energy, efforts that they have put in. So now these content creators have reached in their own field something called as the ROI wall. So excess amount, like for instance, let's say initially when the content creator got into this particular content creation game, so as to say, then initially, let's say in the first year they earned 10,000 currency units, let's assume. In the second year they are going to earn, let's say 20,000 currency units. In the third year they would be earning perhaps 15,000, and in the fourth year they would be earning perhaps 5,000 currency units. Irrespective of, let's assume that they made uniform amount of effort on their videos in each of the 4 years. Why is this happening? Why are things going up and then why are things going down? Everything seems to be going up and then it seems to be going down if left to its natural processes. Unless somebody is stoking the fire seems to be dying. Unless there is some amount of innovation, the fire seems to be dying. So extreme amount of innovation is required, and extreme amount of innovation also to be a low cost producer is required in this particular attention economy as well. So what seems to be happening over here is that there are two competing factors. One factor is that of compound interest. I'll represent compound interest with this graph. So this factor of compound interest is actually competing with the factor of the return on investment walls. See, ultimately everything is going to end, the earth is going to be no more, so all compounding is going to stop. Compounding, even though people glorify compounding a lot, let's understand that compounding gives its maximum returns later in life, or later in the compounding cycle, not earlier in the compounding cycle. This is something very important to understand. So that means, let's say you start compounding and that at year 1 you have less returns compared to at year 50, and you have the maximum returns later in life at age 70. Like for instance, currently Jeff Bezos is approximately worth 18,000 into 10 raised to 7 USDs worth. Warren Buffett is 10,800 into 10 raised to 7 USDs worth. Now why is Warren Buffett lesser than Jeff Bezos currently? Approximately like 60% of Jeff Bezos, despite of him being 90 years old and Jeff Bezos being 57 years old. Why is this so? Because Warren Buffett has relied on compounding for growing his wealth, whereas Jeff Bezos initially created a company. Currently the flywheel of Amazon, namely Prime and AWS and the marketplace. This is the flywheel of Amazon that goes on, produces value, provides value to the world, and hence captures the resources of the world. So why at age 57 is Jeff Bezos worth this much, and at age 90 Warren Buffett is worth less than that? They are both very good in their disciplines, because Warren Buffett chose the investing discipline. By no means, obviously, Warren Buffett's wealth is not less by any means, but it is lesser than Jeff Bezos, and we, being the scientists that we are, we want to analyze why it is so. See, compounding hits walls. Okay, let's understand that. So some innovation may be required to circumvent the wall or go over the wall, and sometimes the wall might be such that it cannot be overcome, okay, with the given strategy or in the given industry with the given amount of resources. So in that particular case, it depends on us whether we want to preserve and conserve our time, energy, efforts and live life, or we want to pour in those time, energy, efforts into other ventures wherein we will also hit new and different walls, okay, but those walls might be further out, so we might be able to earn more in some other ventures basically. Alright, so this is what we need to understand, that we are always going to hit walls. Michael Jordan, also the great basketball player, also hit his peak, and after that, because of age, he had to retire. So there was some point in time in his career, no matter how great he was, which we can say is the peak of the career of Michael Jordan as a basketball player. And hence we need to understand this particular concept of walls. So these are ROI walls. So what do we do when we hit an ROI wall in our own life? Alright. So we have got essentially two options. One option is try to bash against the ROI wall with all our effort, might. Okay. The wall is not going to budge because it is a real wall basically. It's not a wall like with persistence and effort this wall will break down. It's not like that. Why? Because you have got finite time. Your time in life will get over. You will just die basically. Alright. So because of finite time, it doesn't make sense to, when you hit an ROI wall pretty strong and the wall seems to be pretty strong, then in that case, you have to rethink your strategy and either invest your time. So basically you started from here, you took one path and you hit the ROI wall on that path. So what you can do over here now is and identify the ROI peak. Identify the ROI peak. Let's say if you're a business owner, let's say you reach this particular wall, and then you can see that okay, with 1 hour per day, if you give 1 hour per day to this business, let's say you are earning 10,000 currency units per month. All right. So if you give instead of 1 hours, if you give 3 hours per day, then you are earning 11,000 currency units per month. So seems to be like 1 hours per day is like an appropriate peak in this particular return on investment journey for this particular return on investment wall. So you save your time, and you have got two options. If you are satisfied with how much ever you have in life, and if you are well invested enough, okay, then in that case you stop working and just enjoy life. All right, just chill essentially. Doesn't mean make expenses, okay, because if you are making expenses, then you need more and more always. So it depends upon like what you want exactly and how you have financially planned for your life. But this time you can either save, so saving time and not hitting against the wall is like option 1, okay, and option 2 is embarking on another journey which is not the original path. In the original path, remember, you have hit a wall in the original path, and maybe start venture number 2, wherein with 1 hour of your time you can earn approximately, let's say, 20,000 currency units per month, and this 20,000 currency units per month will also maybe lead you to another wall. So now with 1 hour of your time here you are earning 20,000 currency units per month, okay, but with 2 hours of time over here you are earning only 22,000 currency units per month. So again, this is the peak. Like you should give 1 hour over here, and then you should give 1 hour over here. So effectively speaking, with 2 hours of your work, you will be earning total 30,000 currency units per month. So this is the concept of return on investment wall. Then if you are satisfied, you stop. Otherwise, you start another third venture or invest in a third company, let's say. And then again you hit the ROI wall. So as life goes on, you keep hitting the ROI walls or return on investment walls, essentially speaking, if you want to optimally progress in life. Now, starting a new company requires training of the mind, okay, training yourself, training acquiring new customers, clients, so on and so forth. So it requires some amount of time, energy, efforts being invested in that venture. So why is investing so smart as a decision, generally speaking? Well, because in investing, let's say you go into venture X and you hit the return on investment wall on venture X, you can just go to venture Y, or keep your money in cash and keep it to yourself, or you can go to venture Z and so on and so forth, basically, when you hit the ROI wall on venture Y. So that's why investing, it's easy to switch basically, because we don't know what sectors of the economy will collapse when. And by the way, these walls that you are hitting are not because of lack of talent in that particular discipline, etc. Like you might be very talented like Warren Buffett as an investor, but let's say if you are born in the Stone Age, then your talents are kind of useless basically. Alright. So you might be very talented like Bill Gates as a computer programmer, software developer, but if you are born in the industrial era rather than the computer era, then in that case you wouldn't be so rich as Bill Gates was because of his love for computers. So it depends actually, alright. So it doesn't mean that it's because of your lack of efforts that you hit the wall. You hit the wall because the wall was there. Anybody who is heading in that direction will hit that particular wall. That's the idea of the wall basically, okay. This wall has to do with entropy, randomness, lack of strategy. So by lack of strategy, what do we mean? So here, so if you strategize more, then maybe in 1 hour you could have maybe earned 20,000 also in this particular venture, but not more than 20,000. This is just an example, hypothetical example that I am giving over here. But the wall will be there essentially. It's not like it's because of your lack of talent or lack of efforts that you have hit the wall. It's not like that. It's not like that. Alright. The wall is there. Anybody who is going on that path and you did not know where the wall was because of lack of knowledge, basically. Because when you have lack of knowledge, you have lack of foresight. When you have lack of foresight, then in that case you cannot see the walls that are there very far away from you. So as you are going on this particular journey, then once you hit the wall, then you realize that you have hit the wall. Basically, realizing that you have hit the wall is also a very big deal. Most people don't realize that they have hit the wall and they just crash and burn and just keep hitting the wall. That's the thing. Alright, so if you hit the wall, you have got two strategies. You just stop your work and with whatever you have saved and invested, essentially, or you essentially work only like till the maximum return on investment is obtained by you. So this is like one strategy. Or else you develop another venture. You develop another venture and then hit the wall and on that venture as well. And then finally the third venture that you develop might be a stock market investment venture, wherein also you will hit the wall, but those walls are like relatively easily easy to mitigate compared to other walls, because you can just move your money from one company to another company easily, compared to when you are an entrepreneur. You cannot really move assets from one company to assets from another company so easily, basically. Okay, so if you are going to be rich, you are going to know that you are going to hit walls, and either you stop scaling in that particular direction or pouring resources, energy, capital, money in that particular direction, and kind of retire, just chill by pouring in the optimal amount of resources in that particular direction to hit the maximal point or the maxima of the graph. Which maxima do I mean? I mean this particular maxima, the return on investment maxima on the return per unit investment versus the investment graph. Alright, so either you do that or else you formulate another path in life. If you are relatively young, then you probably should formulate another path in life. Okay, we also have got a theory about like how much you should invest in today's day versus the future according to your age, basically. That theory also I'll tell. Okay, and then finally, like I think that most people should try to come towards stock market and invest in if people don't understand how to pick individual stocks, then it's better to invest in index funds, basically. So at least savings are happening, basically, and there is a good chance that one will be able to earn more than fixed deposits. Alright, so now let's look at the theory of how one should behave according to their own age. So let us say one is going to die at age 100. Let's assume that we live till 100 years of age, as most of us would like to, and some of us will. And let's say presently, or let's assume that we start at age 20. Alright, so at age 20, I'm going to draw a bar graphs over here. At age 20, whatever we do is going to get compounded, basically. Alright, so at age 20, it's better to spend more amount of time in compound activities like knowledge, getting a startup, so on and so forth. And as the age increases, less amount of time will be spent on compound activities, and instead more amount of time will be spent on today's activities, the activities that make you happy today. Like for example, spending time with family, going on a small low cost vacation with family, for instance, reading books, indulging into spirituality, so on and so forth, and less amount of time will be spent on compounding of the efforts, basically. So this is what makes sense, actually speaking. Alright, so this blue represents the time that you have spent on compounding, meaning starting your own startup, so on and so forth. Alright, and now the green that I am going to draw represents what you are doing today. So this represents today's happiness, the food that you eat today, the time that you spend with family and friends today, the books that you read for feeling happy today, like the music that you listen to today. All these things are also important to experience life as a human. So mathematically speaking, the younger you are, the more you can afford to actually spend time on compounding things, and the older you are, the less you can afford to spend time on compounding things. So we can see that as we are getting older, we are spending more and more time in day-to-day activities. So let us say, hypothetically speaking, you are told that you are going to die tomorrow. What would you prefer? You would prefer to eat good food today, you would prefer to spend time with your family today, you would prefer to spend time doing the activities that you love, like riding a bicycle, indulging in your own hobbies. It can be music, it can be uh, any form of other form of art, so on and so forth. You would like to spend time with your loved ones, you would like to eat whatever you want to eat. So you would like to satisfy your biological desires because you are going to die tomorrow. So, or let's say you are going to die in 10 days because of cancer or something like that. Then you would like to spend time in what you feel makes life meaningful in the given 9 to 10 days that you have to live, or the given one day that you have to live. Basically, you wouldn't worry so much about creating a company, you know that kind of things you won't worry about. So the more time you have on your hands, the more you can afford and should invest in compounding yourself, so that you can be the best version of yourself and achieve the maximum that you can achieve in this process, helping humanity as much as you can. The less time that you have in your hands, the more you should focus upon living in the present moment. So this is the optimality that we have shown over here. So this is on the y-axis, we are having time in a day. Time in a day. I hope this long video was helpful for the listeners. I wish one and all light speed.